I am pretty mad because the first time I recorded this video, I sounded like this.
Listen, we're going on a mission today. The mission is to create a full Twitch overlay pack as fast as possible.
But on the bright side, that means that you are getting 2 free overlay packs. In this video, I want to show you how to make a full Twitch overlay pack as fast as possible using free tools and also giving you access to the free templates. So we're gonna stretch, get into the sponsor, and then we can begin. I've been yapping about Owned Pro for a while now. Their goal is to give you everything you need to start as a streamer, starting with a huge library of overlays, a chatbot, widgets, everything you can think of. But now they got something new, a stream overlay maker. On the left, under stream design, you will see scene builder. You can choose a complete setup or just a single scene. Let's do complete. Automatic selection will create 5 different scenes for your stream. And in less than a minute, you will have a full professional scene setup. In manual selection, you can browse the library and pick the scenes that you want. Let's go with automatic. And the choice here is kinda wild. Owned is known for having the biggest library of overlays on the internet. So let's pick this one. You get a preview of what it looks like. You can see your scenes, your alerts, your camera overlays, your starting soon screens, your stinger transitions, and just click create scenes. Congrats, you have 5 scenes already created for you. Let's quickly edit the text by clicking on it. And this is the scene builder with a lot of options. This text seems to be in that folder. And now I can type whatever I want. Nice. Now click save and copy the overlay URL. In your broadcasting software, you want to add a browser source, paste the link that you just copied, and adjust the size. We know it's 1920 by 1080, and click OK. Congrats, it was that easy to create your starting soon screen. Do the same with the rest of the scenes, and your complete setup can be done in 10 minutes max. Own Pro offers a gazillion more options, but I'll let you check it out by going to own.gg/GalLevelPro. That is own3d.gg/GalLevelPro. All right, we just watch the 10-minute setup. Now let's get into the 10 hours setup. You want to go to Photopea. This is Photoshop, but free online. Before we even get to creating, you can immediately click on templates, type my name in the search bar, and you'll see, well, the overlay I created earlier and a bunch of other stuff that you can use for completely free. You can customize them, change stuff, change the text, and make it yours. But for now, we're going to create a new one. Fun fact, I actually asked you guys to vote on the color for this overlay, pretending that I didn't know it was going to be blue. Anyways, go to Photopea. You want to make sure you're in full screen because that's where the Photoshop and Photopea shortcuts will match exactly. So if you learn Photopea, I call it Photopea, it's Photopea. You're actually learning Photoshop. You could literally put this on your resume. Go to new project. We're going to start with the base file, which is usually the offline screen or the starting soon screen. Let me call this one offline, 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to make the DPI 300. You don't have to make it 300, but I like doing that. Let's go with black for the background color and click create. I'm actually going to use something to highlight my mouse because I don't think I'm going to have time to do a lot of zooming. So you can pay attention. All right, I also have input history so you can see what I'm pressing at all times in case I forget to say something. So this is Photopea. On the left side, we're gonna have all the tools to create stuff, to move stuff, and etc. And on top here, we're gonna have the options for those tools. On the right, I'm gonna have my layers list. If your Photopea doesn't totally look like that, you're probably gonna have some ads on the right side, but the awesome people at Photopea actually gave me an account so that I wouldn't be cluttering the screen for you. One thing to keep in mind is that some tools are hidden behind other tools. For example, here I have the gradient tool. You can press G to access it. You can click and hold, and then now you have the paint bucket tool. Isn't that beautiful? So here you're gonna have foreground color and background color. Foreground color is your selected color. Click on it once and then pick a color that you want. We're gonna go for the color that we want in our background. This is the part where you choose your color scheme and all that good stuff. We're gonna go for generic gamer boy stuff because that's what seems to work. That's what I have to do for you to click on the thumbnail. And with the paint bucket tool selected, and of course the background layer selected, I'm gonna click once. Boom, and now it changed. I'm gonna unlock this background just in case I wanna do stuff to it later. It won't let me edit it if it's locked. Unlock. Okay, get ready. This is where it's gonna go fast. Perhaps I'm going to go ahead and click on the rectangle tool or press U. If you don't see the rectangle, just click, hold, choose rectangle. I'm going to create a rectangle like that. On the layers list, I'm going to double click on the icon here to give it a color. And this is where we kind of pick our main color scheme, which is that kind of blue. Click OK. Press V to select the move tool. This is where you can select and move stuff. And I'm going to hold Alt. This is one way of duplicating stuff. I'm going to hold Alt, click, and then drag. Hold Alt, click, drag, and wow, I duplicated it. Now, how do I transform this? Make it smaller and scale it. Control T for transform. I can just hold Shift, make it thin. And we basically want to do like half, maybe like that. Do it again. Hold Alt, click, drag, Control T, hold Shift, and there we go. Nice. I like those together. So what I'm going to do is in the layer list, I'm going to hold Shift, click on the one at the bottom. It's going to select all of them in between, right click and merge them. Merge layers. That means they're all one single layer now. Press Control T to transform them. Hover around one of the corners to get the rotation tool. Click, hold Shift to make it incremental. So boom, 30%, 15, 30, 45. Isn't that nice? Let's go with 30 degrees and I'm going to place it somewhere around here. I'm going to click at the bottom here, hold Shift to stretch it. And there you go. This is like the main color. I'm not totally satisfied with it. So I'm going to double click and perhaps change it a little bit. Yeah, I feel like this is more punchy of a look. Click OK. And now I'm going to click on the background because when you click on a layer, whatever you create is going to go on top of it. In the case of a shape, it will create a new layer that will be just on top of it in the list. This is, of course, by the order of whatever's going on here. I'm going to create another rectangle. It doesn't matter exactly what it looked like, maybe close to a square. Press Control T, rotate it a little bit. And this is going to be like faded stuff that's going to be in the background. Hold Shift to stretch a little bit. Nice. I'm going to press V for the move tool, hold Alt, click, drag to duplicate. Same thing again. Nice. Same thing again, like that. Pretty cool. What I can do now is basically go to them one by one and slightly change the color just to make it look more complex than it really is. We're going to lower the opacity anyways, double click on the icon, then select all of them, holding Shift, Control G to group them. Don't group them actually. Right click and merge them, merge layers, and then lower the opacity. I just realized that changing the color did nothing. That was a bad idea. Just lower the opacity here. And we're going to do something else. I'm going to duplicate this. The second way to duplicate is to hold Alt on the layers list, click and drag up, and it created the same thing at the exact same spot. So now I can click and I can just move this around a little bit to give it more complexity. Since it's already like half transparent. Oh, it duplicated it more times than I wanted to. Control Z to go back. Okay, something weird happened there. There we go. Control T, maybe rotate it a little bit to create more chaos, more randomness. Nice. Let's do this once more. Duplicate, Control T, and let's just rotate this. Maybe you scale it down a little bit. All right, I like to click on the background layer just to see what I'm doing. And now I want to take the layer that's all the way at the bottom and I want to add a filter. I'm going to go to filters, go to blur and go with Gaussian blur. And it says this layer is not editable. What we're going to do is right click, rasterize. So it's no longer just a shape that you can scale however you want. It is now just pixels. Blur, Gaussian blur, and that should work. There you go. And as you can see, it is blurring pretty nicely. Cool. We're going to do the same thing here. Rasterize, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And this time we want to blur a little bit less. Same thing here. Right click, rasterize, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and even less. 0.6. I think that's okay. I'm going to group all of this plus the background together. So holding Shift, select all of them, Control G. And now I want to create what I like to call like assets. Just little things, little details that I'm going to probably place everywhere to populate the whole thing. I like to do it now. So with the rectangle tool, I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to create another rectangle like that. Press Control T, right click, go to perspective and drag the corner. Just like that. Now, while holding Shift, I'm going to drag the top here. And this is like the graphic designer easy button to make things look futuristic and gamer-y. Press Enter. Place it, press V to go move tool, and then place it approximately where it seems like it should be. That bottom one, you can Control T on it, hold Control, and now you can skew it. So you click and drag the bottom one like that, and you can see it's being skewed. Press Enter, and this is what we created basically. Find those two things, merge them, right click, merge layers. You can double click on the icon to pick the color. We can go with white, but I'm probably going to duplicate it, hold Alt, drag up or down. Double click, and this time I want to just immediately color pick this color because that's going to be our main color. So we have this and we have that. That is cool. We can put those things in the corner. On my shape tool, I want to click, hold, go to custom shape, and we want to find something like some arrow. You can type find arrow and it will find a bunch of arrows, which is cool. We even have the exact arrow that I'm looking for. I'm going to click once. I'm going to click, hold Shift to make it proportional, and I'm going to drop it. Okay, make sure I bring that up so I don't confuse them. You should be naming your layers, but I'm trying to go fast. I'm going to duplicate it, hold Alt, bring it up, double click, and we want white arrow. Back to the custom shapes here. We're going to find something like this. I think I like that. Boom. Hold Shift to maintain proportions. Nice. Bring that down. Duplicate it holding Alt and make it white. All right, this is basically all of the assets that we're going to use to populate this. I'm going to select all of them and group them. Control G to group, double click to change the name, and let's do assets. Tease the name. So every time you want like to add more details, you can just go in here and then copy. You can of course move them around. V for move tool like that, so you can visualize them a little bit better. Let's turn off the asset layer by clicking on the eye, and let's start doing text. You can click on T and then click once on the canvas, then type your text. Starting soon, or offline image. Let's start with offline image for no reason in particular. And you actually need to select the whole thing if you want to modify it. I'm just pressing Shift and pressing up to just select everything. That's like a Windows tip. That's not a Photopea tip. And up top, remember, that's where you get the options for whatever tool you have. We're using the text tool, so the options are going to be here. Up top, we can bump up the size, and also we can find the color right there of the text. Boom. Now, if you want more options about the text, because it's not everything here, you can go to Window and click on Character. And that's going to appear here. Now you have options for the tracking. For example, I can click on the word, drag, and yeah, create more space in between the letters. Maybe turn that down just a little bit. You can click outside of the text while it's selected to move it, or you can just go back to the move tool so you can see how it's actually going to look. I kind of want it to be slightly embedded in there, so it looks like there's more depth. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm clicking on assets. So whatever I create is going to be on top of it. I'm going to click and hold, click on line. And I just want to add a line, just a decorative line, if you will. I'm going to make it 6 pixels wide, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and it's going to be white, but we can change the color by double clicking on it, clicking on this color, which is our main color. And it's not too bad. We're going to do a very generic type of overlay, but at least, you know, you don't have to pay someone on Fiverr to do it. Nothing wrong with people trying to make money on Fiverr, but hey, I'm in educational content. If you want to be the next guy on Fiverr to do it, congrats, you're learning now. Another cool thing about the shapes you click and you hold, go to custom shape again, is that they already have social media in Photopea, which is cool. So if you want your Twitter, your X, you can already add that here by clicking, click, hold, make it proportional. Nice. You want to know what else they have? YouTube. Cool. I'm going to create it right next to this one because I know that I want it to be pretty much the same size. Not bad. You see it's adding it here. So X is going to be there. Boom. YouTube is going to be there. Boom. Let's go back. What else people use? TikTok. Of course, it's there. Nice. Click, hold Shift, drag. V for move tool, and now you can move. Click, hold Shift so it doesn't go up and down. If I let go of Shift, it's going to go everywhere. Just hold Shift. It's going to be linear. I'm going to place it around here. We're going to have 3 of them. X is going to be second. You put them in the order of importance to you. My main content is on YouTube. We're making this for Twitch, so we don't need Twitch to show up here. Then let's add some more text. How do we do it? Click T, boom, and put your at your name, select it all, Shift top, remove the tracking. I'm going to put 0%. Oops, I'm going to put 0%. Press enter. And when it comes to the format, I don't want it to be black. I want it to be medium. It's more visible, or maybe even regular. There you go. It's thinner. You can do the size like that. Remember we were transforming by pressing Control T. Remember the good old days? You can do the same thing. Again, you can click on the move tool, press Control T. The reason why we don't press V for the move tool here is because, well, you're in the type tool. If you press V, it's going to type V. That's not what you want. Now I want to duplicate. I'm going to make sure that this is in a good order. What is that? TikTok. Boom. Always name your layers. Sometimes I do. Select your name, hold Alt, click, drag by also pressing Shift. So it's linear. Click, drag, also pressing Shift because it's linear. Alt is for duplicating, and then Shift is for keeping it linear. We can see that there's like maybe too much space here. So we're going to move the TikTok a little bit. I'm going to press Control to select both of them. I have the move tool selected. I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard to give them a little bit of space. Brother, I am struggling. All right. To give it more personality, if you will, you can double click on the T. This is how you change text, by the way. You double click on the T icon next to the layers list. Boom. I'm going to select just the off. I'm going to click on the color and I'm going to click on that color. And now I have off. That's going to be this color. I can click on anything else to deselect it. Easy Clap or Reno. And everything that is left from now on basically is decoration. I get that this doesn't look super great for now, but I'm going to show you how to easily make it look better. I'm going to go all the way to the top and I'm going to add a new layer at the bottom here. New layer. Cool. I'm going to go to my brush tool, right click, make it quite big, quite big. Lower the hardness. So it's going to be a soft brush. Adjust the size, really adjust it. Opacity, I want that to be low. So it's going to be a very, well, semi-transparent brush so we can have more control. I can see that my main color here is white. We don't want that. I'm going to hold Alt to bring up a color picker. I'm going to click, whoop, and basically the darkest color on the image right now is that dark blue. And that's what we're going to use to create a little bit of a gradient. So I'm clicking, dragging, click, drag, clicking and dragging, clicking and dragging, clicking and dragging, clicking and dragging, clicking. I'm even going to do it on the left side also, clicking and dragging. It's going to be less visible, but you'll see. Nice. I'm going to do it at the bottom a little bit. We're just adding more dimension to this whole thing. Click, 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 click. So it looks less perfect. It looks more random, more organic, if you will. Click, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Then I'm going to go on this is where you get your blending mode, where it says normal. You have all of these options. It's basically, how do we want it to affect whatever is underneath it? And we can play around with it. Usually you want to go with overlay because that usually affects both the darks and the highlights. And this actually looks pretty good. It colors it a little bit better. If I turn it off, before, after, before, after, we get like a nice gradient and it brings your eyes to this offline text. My nose is so itchy today. Remember our assets? Let's use them. Let's use them for good. Turn on the assets and basically pick and choose the ones that you want. I definitely want this one here. I'm going to press V for the move tool and I can press Control while I have the move tool selected to click on something and it will select it immediately. So I don't have to go find it in the layers list. If you find yourself clicking and selecting accidentally, on top left, you're going to see auto select. You can just set that on. So I can click here. It will find it. But I don't like using that because you can easily choose something that you don't want to. So hold Control if you want to activate it. Release Control when you don't. Release Control. It's not your fault. And the way we're going to use the assets is by holding Alt, duplicating and dragging them outside of the group. It may seem like we're spending a lot of time on an offline image and we'll never make a full overlay pack. But once the first one is done, guess what? The rest is like easy peasy. Press Control T, click on one corner, drag it down, and we just want tiny details. That's what we're creating here. Things that kind of break the uniformity of this whole thing. Okay, I think you get the point. Duplicate them outside of the group, place them. I'm going to fast forward this part. One thing you can do with transform is when you press Control T, for example, I want this, but I want it symmetrically, like bottom right. I can right click, flip horizontally, right click, flip vertically. And now I have it and I can just place it there to create some form of symmetry. Pretty cool, right? Okay, back to the time lapse. For example, here I realize that all of the things that I'm creating and where I'm placing them are behind this blue thing. I do like the ones that I placed so far, but this one needs to go on top of it. Boom, and there it is, visible. Back to the time lapse. We're gonna do something risky here. You can hold space, by the way, to grab the hand and move your canvas around. Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out. Control plus, Control minus, or subtract. Okay, I'm going to turn off the asset folder. And yeah, that's pretty much what we have. If you want to go complete lazy designer, and I'm not saying that as a negative thing, but basically easy things to make your design look fuller, you can hold Alt, duplicate your offline. See, offline was here. I'm dragging it into the background folder. Control T, make it huge. Click on the corner to rotate, holding Shift 30 degrees, place it like this. Hold Alt, we're on the move tool. Press Shift to translate it like this. Move it around a little bit so it doesn't look the same. Same thing again. Bring it up just like that. And then play with the opacity or add like a blur to them. So bottom one, opacity, you want that to be barely visible. So you're adding basically fake details. It's just the same word duplicated multiple times. Also, you can just make the blending mode overlay. So it actually affects the colors. Of course, you're going to play with the opacity again. In our case, we already have a lot of detail in the background, so it doesn't work as well. But we can just bring the opacity back up. Overlay, opacity 100. Overlay, opacity 100. And in this case, we're going to add a blur. Can I add a blur to text directly? Nope. Rasterize. What? Okay, that's weird. It did rasterize it. All right. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. There you go. And you want to give it more blur. 11 pixels. That's nice. So I'm going to select both of those. I'm going to rasterize them. Then I'm going to give them a blur. Gaussian blur. 10 pixels. Not bad. I'm going to make them different opacities. Not too bad. This is basically just adding fake details. I'm not a huge fan of like the squares that I added. Maybe some of them were too much. There's one layer that I don't like. And there you go. This one kind of missed the blur actually. Adding more blur to one of the background layers. There we go. One extra thing that we can do to really bring up that color scheme is we can go on the top layer in our background folder, which I should call background. And that's going back to the brush tool with a very soft brush and almost transparent brush. We're going to go with 1000. Opacity, maybe 6%. Hold Alt to pick the color. You want the brightest spot, basically, like that. And we want to create a new layer. Bottom here to create a new layer. There we go. And I'm basically going to add a little bit of more blue. Ooh, that's like that. And I'm going to click, bring it away, click, click. What would that look like if we set it to overlay for the blending mode? Not bad. We can keep clicking while it's in overlay mode. It just brings out the blue in underneath it. But if we set it to linear dodge, not great, but whatever. We're going to lower the opacity. I kind of like the effect, the final effect. Anyways, let's wrap it up for the offline image so that we can move on to everything else. One last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add an overlay on top of everything because we have some gradients, and gradients sometimes will look weird. You can see like the separation. I like to add a little bit of grain, and that's like one tip to make your gradients look a little bit better. So I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to go to Edit, Fill, and then here I'm going to find Overlay as my blending mode. And under Fill, I want gray. Gray should be basically 50% in between white and black. Nice. That's exactly what we want. We want to go to Filter. We want to go to Noise. And we want to go to Add Noise. We want our noise to be monochromatic, and we want it to be super duper low. 2%. Would that work? Click OK. And now we just need to set this to overlay. Now, this is the type of detail that you don't really see the effect of it, but it's there. I promise you it's there. You can add more noise if you feel like it's not really doing its job. Okay, I lied. One more thing to the offline text, and I'm going to clean all of this. Actually, I should clean it now. Collapse the background. And what we have is the main shape here. That's a look too. Offline, the underline, and then details and socials, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I'm going to select the offline, and I want to show you something pretty cool. Turn off my camera for that. Well, offline is selected, the text. You can go to effects, and this is where you can add stuff like bevel, emboss, shadows, and stuff like that. For now, though, I don't know if I want like a whole bevel. It would basically look like that and make it more 3D-ish looking, affected by the light. I kind of like the very flat gradient look. So I'm going to keep it like that. So I can turn off the bevel here, and I'm just going to add a gradient overlay. So on top of this, I'm adding a black and white thing, but I can change the blending mode of the gradient overlay right there. And I can set it to linear burn. This is basically a darkening. And then I can bring it down like that. I want it to be quite subtle. Not bad, except now the underline, it pops out more than the text. So we're going to click the underline, go to effects, go to gradient overlay. And I want basically the sides to be darker and the middle to be brighter. So I'm going to go to normal so I can see what I'm doing. Push the opacity all the way up. And the style needs to be reflected. Cool. Except now it's at 90 degrees, so that doesn't work. Press 0. Click away. Cool. So you can see the middle is dark. The outside is white. So let's click reverse. And we have the opposite now. I can scale this up so the gradient is less concentrated in one spot. And go to blending mode. And I want overlay. Or linear burn, just like before, and just lower the opacity so it doesn't affect the bright parts. Click OK, and this is it. Let me click on background just so you can see what we've done. Whew, all right. Oh, that was a lot. That was a lot. Actually, I don't like the gradient. Let me play with it some more on the underline. All right, on my counter, that's like 1 hour that I've been recording. Maybe this is where we're gonna go fast. I'm gonna start by exporting this. If you've done this and you were following along, or you're gonna do this in the future, you can go to File, Export as PNG to save your stuff. Click OK. And this is the first overlay, which is also available. We're gonna call this one offline. Nice, and I'm gonna make it a template. You can see the other ones. You can type my name or just type the word fast. Forgot to put my name in there. And you'll have access to those. Very different design, but not that different either. We're gonna call this one quick instead of fast. And this is all that we're gonna do. Fast, we're gonna do, next one will be the starting soon, then intermission screen, labels bar, panels, banner, camera overlay, avatar, and we'll be done. So this one is called quick, or should I call it speed? Let's call it speed. Speed, offline, Twitch overlay, get level for tutorial. And it's right there. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Cool. So next thing is going to be starting soon, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So all we have to do to change the text is click on the T, double click on the T, and we're going to type soon. Okay. I'm going to click once more to deselect, hold Alt, drag up to duplicate. We've done this like 20 times now. Double click on the T on this one, and we're going to type starting. And I'm going to type it like lowercase, select it all, shift, arrow up, go on the color here, click, pick the brightest, click OK. Choose the move tool, Control T, and let's bring it down. Move it around. And this is where you have to decide, exactly how you want to format this. We can make it exactly the same size, or you can even make it smaller for a cleaner look. Maybe half the size, for example. Nice. And you can even make the whole thing bigger. So hold Shift, Control T, and do this. This will give us more flexibility for the other stuff like be right back or ending stream or whatever, but this is going to be the template for that. So if you want to change the text, you're going to have the starting text and you're going to have the soon text, and double click on the T, type whatever you want. Be right back would be right. And then you double click on the T for soon and you would type back or full caps back, for example, right? And fun fact, we're done with with this overlay. Next stop, intermission screen. So we can get kind of creative with this. Let me go ahead and turn off the text because we're not going to be needing it. We're going to click and drag them to the bin. Boom, goodbye text. If you want to keep the underline and the socials, you can do so. I'll select them, select that group with them, holding Control T. You can resize them a bit. I want to guess that you might want your labels bar, with your recent follower and all that to be at the bottom. So we're going to put this up top, but you can always turn it off if you don't want to have it at all. Let's make sure the underline actually matches it. Control T. Been talking for 1 hour and my voice is feeling it. I don't know what this is, but I got to get rid of it. How to create a frame for your camera or for your gameplay or whatever you want to do. I'm going to go right underneath this blue thing because I kind of want it to be cut out and still have the blue thing on top of it. Click on underline here. I'm going to press U for the shape tool, but I'm going to click and hold to have a rectangle. And usually if you want like the full screen, as in like a 1080p camera, you want the whole 16:9, you just click once and then you type the resolution of your camera. You make sure to uncheck this so it's not 1:1, 1080, and this will be it. Now it's too big, Control T, drag the corners, or you can just make it 720p. It's also 16:9. So this would be like what your full camera would be. But of course, we don't need it to be that wide most of the time. We can just have it look a little bit better. And bring this up. So don't worry about how this looks. This is just the frame. Double click to change the image, make it even, gives you a better idea. All right, so now this is the camera frame. If you want to add details to it, we're gonna duplicate it. We're gonna go in the shape options here, and we're gonna turn off the fill. See, fill, click on the color and be like, no fill. You're gonna go to stroke, which is the outline, and you're gonna be like, yes, I want a solid color as my outline. You're going to click on that color, and then you're going to click on whatever color you want it to be. Nice. It added it, but it's a little thin. So click on the arrow next to 1 pixel and drag it up. You will see the difference. Nice. 8 pixels seems nice. All you have to do now is basically add some details if you want to add some details. We have our details here, like blue thing, or you can just grab them from the assets. I'm just going to duplicate them from here directly. Hold Alt. Uh-oh, I got the spinning wheel of death. That's not good. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. You guys see my look? You guys think this is easy? You guys see what I do? Just to give you access to free stuff, just to teach you how to do stuff, valuable skills that you can use to make money. There are whole associations out there recruiting people. They have workers that are just tasked to go on your Twitch chat, ask you if you need a graphic designer because it's so lucrative. All right, so let's give up. Let's click again, close the program. Wait, what? How did it, what? It saved it? Photopea is the best. How did it save it? That makes no sense. Okay, cool. What? All right, so go full screen, press U for the shape tools, and we had 8 pixels for the outline. We're gonna move that. Actually, I'm gonna remove the underline altogether, move the socials so they make more sense, either all the way there or kind of centered. Nice. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I just wanted to duplicate something. Hold Alt, click up. Nice. Control T, transform, hold Shift to rotate, release, enter, bring it somewhere you can see it. So on top of the frame, Control T, flip it horizontally and just scale it down. Nice. I'm going to do the same thing here. Control T, right click, flip vertically, also flip horizontally, enter, click, drag, place it. On details 2, I actually don't like those arrows here. That's better. But I'm also going to duplicate one of them, bring it on top of our camera, Control T, rotate, holding Shift, make it quite big, place it like that, change the color. And we're going to learn about something called a clipping mask. A clipping mask is basically having one layer attach itself to all the visible layers of the one underneath it. For example, I just want the white part to only show up on the blue part. Since we have it separated, right? This is the frame right there. I just need to put that layer right on top of it. That's the layer. I'm going to click, drag, bloop. In order to create the clipping mask, I'm going to hold Alt, click once on it, and there you go. Now you can see the outline of the actual shape, but if I move it, it's only going to move on the visible parts, including here, because they're not merged. But that is exactly what I'm looking for. It's basically an easy way to add details to your piece, if you will. Duplicate it once more. I think that's nice. Okay, how do we cut out a hole in this whole thing? Thankfully, our background is one single group, although we do have that top layer for the grain thing. It's going to be annoying, but not really. I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard. Make sure you can see this. In order to select a specific layer or all the visible pixels on the layer, hold Control on your keyboard and click on the icon. Boop. So now it's selecting that frame that we created first, right? So we can visualize. Now we just have to create a mask for the background. You click on the group background and here you'll see raster mask. Now it did the opposite. And what we need to do is invert the mask. A mask is basically a black and white layer where white will reveal and black will hide. If I hold Alt and click on that layer, you see what it looks like. We want the opposite. In order to invert colors, we press Control I. Boop. So now if I go back, holding Alt and clicking on the mask, it's doing the effect that I want it to do. Now, how do we create the same mask for our grain layer that is all the way up top, or noise layer, if you will? I can hold Alt, click on the mask, drag it up, put it on there, and just like that, we have it. But we can see that our vignette effect is also affecting the mask, which is annoying, but we just have to drag the mask. There we go. Ooh, okay. Now we have an interesting problem. It is affecting more than we wanted. Why am I making my life so complicated? We actually wanted to affect this part. So we just need to select that blue thing here and manage to go back and paint black on the mask. Hold Control, find your blue thingy, boom, there it is. You can see that this is not included. You can also find it, press Control Shift to add additional parts to your mask. It is probably in details 2 and it's probably a B. Actually, no, it's in details 1 and it's B thing. And there it is. So Control to prepare for the selection, Shift to make it additional, and click. Booyah. Now go back to your vignette, click on the mask. All right. And basically I held Alt to see the mask. Just go to the paint bucket tool under the gradient tool here. And we actually want white in here so that the vignette is visible. We seem to have white as our foreground color. Just click once. We can see that some artifacts, click again, Click again, click again, click again, click again. And you can press Control D to deselect. All right. It's not perfect, but it will do. Hold Alt, click on the mask again. You can see that is beautiful. Now you can create a part for your chat if you want to. And you can also add an additional like screen if you want like another part, like maybe this is your intermission screen. So your face will be here and then your gameplay. If you're in a lobby, you're queuing, you want it to be there. The cool thing is that we already have a frame for our camera here. And it's all of that. Let me group them together and we're going to call it camera frame. This is where it gets complicated and it gets like difficult to explain. I'm going to duplicate this group and call it lobby frame. We want it to be on top of the blue thing. Drag, drop, Control T. We can scale it down, enter, V for move tool. And to keep it kind of uniform, we actually want to size it the same way that we want to size like chat. Not too bad. We're losing a lot of real estate, if you will, just to preserve that design, but I'm not too mad about it. That looks good. Now we can go inside that group and we can make sure that the colors are inverted. We want white basically for that frame. It's the shape 4 copy, double click. And in this case, since we just want to change the color of the outline, press U while you have it selected and go back to the stroke up here and choose white. Nice. B arrow copy, we can make that blue. Double click on it, click OK, double click, boom. And we have our little details. So B thing and a B thing copy, make that white, make that white. Nice. Since it's a frame and we're going to use it for chat, we can also copy that group, call this one chat box. V for move tool, click, hold shift to keep it linear. Nice. Go inside the group and we're going to change the shape. Control T. And here we're going to hold shift to stretch basically the initial frame. Hold shift, drag down, just like that. So your chat will be in here. You just have to move this part, which is one of the B things. It's this one and bring it down. Of course, at any point, if you want to go back to the assets folder and duplicate stuff and move them around. Okay, B arrow copy is those little stripes here. You can duplicate them more. Hold Alt, drag up. Put some in the corner here. Hold Alt, drag, put one there. That's a cute little pattern. One more. Okay, if you don't want to have problems reading chat, for example, if the text is white or even black, you don't want the colors to clash. You might want to add an extra little frame. So basically you duplicate this frame and then you fill it and then you lower the opacity. Duplicate it, hold Alt, drag down, press U for the options, go to white, it's going to fill it, go to black, turn off the stroke for the duplication because you don't need it twice. And let's go with a color soft light for the blending mode. So you can do that, or you can just keep it normal and lower the opacity. I think that's pretty cool. Now, of course, if you just want to place your gameplay here, maybe we should cut out this part. So let's do that. It's in the lobby frame. We have this shape 4 that we kept. Press Control, click on the icon, and then basically go everywhere you have your mask in the background. For example, click on the mask, pressing Alt, Paint Bucket tool. This time you want it to be black. If you want to switch between foreground and background, you press X, boom, 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 click a couple times just to make sure. For the vignette, I'm going to do the same thing here. For the noise, I'm going to do the same thing here, except now we want the blue thingy, or shape 1 basically, to also have a mask there. So while it's selected, press Add Raster Mask. So it does the opposite, but press Control I to invert the mask. There you go. And if you have specific parts like this in the details, for example, that have that, you just need to copy the mask to them. So you need to find them, copy the mask to them. Found this one, hold Alt, click on the mask, drag, and drop it on it. Bruh, I had this weird artifact and I couldn't find it. Turns out my mask has like half a pixel. I'm going to press M to bring out the mask tool. That's why I click multiple times with the Paint Bucket tool. Sometimes it doesn't do its job. There you go. Control D to deselect. Oof, okay, we did that. Oh my. As much as I'm not super satisfied with how much this is eating in, if you have any sponsors, if you have a logo, if you have things like that that you want to display, you can just place it in here. If you have any type of graphics that you want to animate or whatever, but the intermission is done. Oh my. Remember to hydrate. Oh my, and there it is. It is saved. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to collapse everything. It's probably going to look like a mess, actually. No, we're good? Okay, cool. And I'm going to create the labels bars just so I can then crop it and export it separately. So we imagined that the labels bar would be at the bottom here. I can go to my shapes and create a parametric shape. We want it to have 6 sides. So a hexagon, you want to do this. I'm holding shift so it snaps to the corners. Pressing space to move it while I'm creating it. And basically you create a little background for each spot. Double click that. You can add some sort of gradient overlay if you want. Click effects. You don't see it, but gradient overlay. Style, you want radial, reverse. Blending mode, you want something dark. Linear burn can work. Multiply can work. I like linear burn so much. Just lower the opacity. And then you can do the intensity with scale. You can even click and move it a little bit. And we're going to create another, we're going to click on rectangle. Let's say like that. Cool. Control T. I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard. Click on the bottom handle here. I'll make sure it's not randomly just selecting the anchor point. There you go. And then I'm going to move this in like that. V for move tool. It wasn't enough moving, so do it again. Cool. So here I went with the exact same design pretty much from the other overlay that I made. I don't necessarily like that, so we can modify it just a little bit. I'm going to duplicate this, holding Alt, click drag, Control T. I'm going to drop this. And I'm basically going to drop this. I'm using the arrows on my keyboard here to give it like a tiny bit of detail. I'm going to duplicate that part again. And I want to Control T over the corners, 30 degrees, rotation, press enter. And I'm going to use this to create a mask. I want to cut out part of this just to add fake details again. Press Control, click on it. Now you can turn it off. You don't need it anymore. Our hexagon, we're going to select it, create a mask. Control I to invert the mask. And there we go. We got a little hole in our hexagon. What was the purpose? None. It just looks more cool because more details equals more cool. I deleted that shape that we made and congrats. You pretty much have yourself a single labels bar. Now, depending on what you want, followers can be hearts. Let's click on the shape tool, custom shape. So let's search for hearts, click, drag, hold shift to maintain proportions, double click on icon, make it white. To be fair, you can make it like a darker blue if you don't want it to grab too much attention. If you want to center it compared to our hexagon, you can select our hexagon, hold Control. While the heart is selected, press V for the move tool, and up top you'll see your align tool. Center horizontally, center vertically. And technically it should be in the center. Control D to deselect. And congrats, we created our first label. I'm going to call this one heart. I'm going to group up all that stuff, Control G, and that's label 1 with the group selected. Control minus to zoom out, hold Alt, click, hold Shift, drag. Nice. So this is of course label 2. Delete the heart, pick another shape, or you get tips. Let's go with $. Click, drag, center it, Control D, deselect, hold Alt, drag up, click, Shift, slide, label 3, delete the icon. Pick another icon. Let's say if that's your top tipper. If it's sub, it can be a star. If it's like a top tipper, you can put a crown. Hexagon, center, beam, bam, boom, brap. Cool. You can group all of them together so you can move all of them together. And yeah, we can imagine that the labels could be over there, but we're going to export them separately, which means that you can place them wherever you want in your overlay. All right. So I can turn off the background. I'm going to go to crop here or just press C. I'm going to click, drag, press enter. There you go. Now I can save. And we did it. Speed, labels bar, Twitch overlay, gal level right there. All right, let's do panels. We're going to go back to this screen in order to get quote unquote inspiration. I'm going to click all the way to the top. I'm going to go find a rectangle and I'm going to click once and basically give it the size that I usually do my panels at. So I go for 640 and it can be like 220. Okay, that made no sense because I definitely didn't click to unlink the aspect ratio right there. There you go. Clicked once. So what did I say? 640. Not bad. You can always change it. You can be like, you know what? Maybe too small. Maybe 640 by 171. I think that would be pretty cool. Nice. Control A to select everything. And while you have the move tool selected, just place it in the middle, center vertically and horizontally. Then from there, I'm going to lower the opacity. And this is basically what we want to bring everything into. For example, our text, I can bring it here like that. Press Control T. And here's the thing for text and panels. I usually type the biggest text that I can type. And usually that text is Instagram. So that every other text, if Instagram fits, basically everything else will fit without changing the size of the text. Because it looks messy if your panels have different text sizes. You can also lower the tracking. There you go. Because small text like about might feel a little too tiny otherwise. We can select that frame basically to make sure that we're good. Hold Control, click once, select our Instagram text and center it. Control D to deselect. I personally would probably like keep it that way, but you don't have to. And basically play around with a bunch of stuff to bring them all in there. I think I'm going to time lapse that part too. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to zoom in. We're actually going to crop it already. Press C to crop. We're going to crop approximately inside of this frame. Press enter. And if you want to really make it, you know, a little cool, we're going to turn off, first of all, our guide. Delete that. We can cut one of the corners basically, or multiple of the corners. And there's multiple ways of doing that. Let's just group up everything. Group. And I'm going to create a square. Create the square. Control T. 30 degrees. Enter. V move tool. And just place it here. Duplicate it. Place it here. So this represents what we're going to cut out. Press Control on one of them, on one of the icons. Hold Shift to add to that selection here. Now select the folder and create a mask. Of course, the mask takes what's in the selection. Control I to invert it and delete your two squares. And we have the circle of death. Okay, I managed to save a huge part. So here we go again. One thing I'm going to do is make sure that my text is centered, and it's only going to be centered when you type text here, go to paragraph, and it's not centered, which is fine. Just center it. There you go. From now on, you want to change this, double click, boom, about me or about me. That's simple. And now we can save the panel. And there it is, all right there. Cool. Now we can do the banner. We're going to start from the be right back. So this time we're going to use the same method. Go up top, boom, bam, bam, on like this. And 1920 by 480 is approximately the size for Twitch banners. Control A, V for move tool, align it, boom, bam. Now we know everything needs to be within that rectangle. There's not much information to put in a banner really, especially with Twitch putting, you know, your channel trailer and all that. So we're just going to keep the socials. I'm going to leave the text in case you want to type something, but basically just the socials. Make them smaller and place them somewhere. One thing that I'm going to do here, so it doesn't only show basically the bright part of the blue shape here, is I'm going to stretch the vignette. Control T, hold Alt to drag from the middle. I'm going to hold Shift to just stretch the height. We're going to get more of that gradient within it. Nice. And we're ready to crop. Press C. I was going to say hold C. When you get that frame here, we can also do hold Alt, drag the top until we're inside that white frame. You can also see the numbers next to my mouse. Press Enter. Nice. Get rid of that guide. Here's our banner. And the banner is published. Shall we do our camera overlay? We can use the intermission frame for that. So we're going to get rid of things that we don't need, like the socials, that blue frame here for sure, even the vignette and also the noise, just to make sure we don't have weird artifacts. Lobby frame and chat box. Bye-bye. We currently have a mask on our camera frame. Now we're going to get rid of that by right-clicking on the mask, delete raster mask. It's also there. Delete. Nice. We have our whole thing back. Let's delete it from the background also. Although we're not gonna use the background. Okay, so let's make sure that we don't have anything inside of this like that. So all of that must go. But also some of the stuff I want inside there. Like this W thing copy. Let's maybe put it in there like that. This is useless. This is useless. Maybe this one off. Now the B arrow copy that we have here, that's basically gonna add some white details. We want more of it maybe. Hold Alt, click, drag. And you got it. Hold Alt, click, drag, and you got it. I just need a way to create a mask that only encapsulates all of that. Thankfully, we had this shape earlier, right? Hold Control, click on it, but we have an issue. It's in the middle of our outline. So we're additionally going to add the outline to the selection by holding Control, Shift, that's plus selection basically, and Shape 4 copy is our outline. Click on it. And you can see it now takes the whole thing. So we can just group up everything, press Ctrl G, and then click add raster mask. Nice. Oh no, but the background, turn it off. Okay. And to make sure that we crop it properly, we can hold Control and click on the raster mask that we created. So it selects it, press C and press enter. Now, of course, this is a camera overlay that is pretty wide. This is a full 1080p basically camera overlay. You can always turn it 90 degrees to make it a portrait size camera overlay, or you can come in here and modify it, make it thinner, if you will. Well, we're done. We did it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the background just so that it's visible in the preview. So it looks good. Just turn it off when you get here. Recording time, 2 hours, 20 minutes. There it is. And finally, we can do kind of a template for the avatar. Let's do it. I'm going to base it off the BRB. I'm going to immediately turn off the background, turn off the noise, turn off the vignette. Don't turn off the vignette, actually. But do restrict it to that shape by creating a clipping mask. Hold Alt, click on it. Well, it's right on top of it. And there we go. So without vignette, with vignette, without vignette, with vignette. I'm turning on the background here just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to press C for cropping, and I'm immediately going to make this a square, 1:1. Press enter. And now I can move stuff around. We can even duplicate some stuff. I'm going to duplicate the details 1, and I can already see the outline of everything. Control D to deselect if it accidentally selects stuff. We can do that. If you want to quickly visualize how it would look as a circle, because Twitch especially has a circle, you can hold Control while creating a circle mask. And basically those are the parts that will be visible. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, really. All right, this is enough. We could add a circle mask to the background. Best way to do it, I'm going to create an ellipse, make it perfect. Place it, Control A, center, center, Control D, Control, click on the shape, turn it off, click on the background, create a mask, Control I, invert the background, invert the mask, sorry. Control I, invert the A, Control I, hello? Control I, what is happening? I think my Control key is not working anymore. No, it's working because I see it turning on auto select. What's happening? So it's image, adjustment, invert. Yes, that works. There we go. Not the best looking one, but hey, we got there. And we're done. We did it. We did it. Go to photop.com, click on templates, type my name in the search bar, and you will find the speed overlay pack as well as the fast overlay pack. Next time that I teach you how to do something step by step, if you want to skip the step by step part, I'm going to make you pay. I don't know what else to say. Hopefully this does well, because this is what, 6 hours of recording in total. I know we did a typical Gamer Boy overlay. We will be making more of those. Those work the most. So hopefully this is not like a bad performing video. And depending on how well this does, I'll show you how to do different styles. For now, I need to go eat. I need to go edit this 2 hour and 31 minute long video. And I'll see you next time. Go out there, make me proud, get a level, tired, and out.